Hey, hey,
What's up, Mr. Indiana?
how are you doing, Mr. Nebraska?
Good, man. Good. I don't have a cool like Nebraska light up sign behind me, so I need to get that. That's awesome, dude.
Come on. So I'm in the podcast studio and we have going up on the other side is like, oh man, like inaugural, like Jeff Gordon won the inaugural Brickyard, like the NASCAR race. I have like the original Indy Star newspaper article to go up there. The Pacers had an NBA Finals run this year. I have a basketball that's going to go in the back of the set too. We're
It's
rocking and rolling with the Hoosier lore.
dude, you're so good at like just the brand building that you're doing behind Get Indiana. Like you've got a good like eye for how to I don't know, like make a spectacle. That's awesome. Nate, yeah, thanks for joining us. We'll kind of cover everything about your story here, but first, just tell us why Indiana? What got you started? Why are you here?
Oh man, I am. Hi, nice to meet. Quick question before I'll dive into my story. Like, are all the people are they like DMOs? Is it like marketing managers for towns or like independent businesses or like what kind of individuals am I talking to?
Yeah, so in this meeting, it's individual towns. So it's a lot of chambers and
Yeah,
economic development folk. And then we're gonna share this on socials. So it'll also go out to businesses, right? So
yeah,
I'm thinking like, those are two different things, right? The towns versus the businesses, but
yeah.
yeah, maybe
Perfect.
there's a way to represent.
Good. That's good context for me. So I'm Nate. I started a podcast 2 years ago promoting the state of Indiana. I'm like an entrepreneurship driven, like impact driven individual. And I just got frustrated with everyone talking smack about the state. Like Indiana's boring. There's nothing to do here. It's flat. It's cornfields, like blah, blah, blah. Like I can't, if I'm not living in Nashville or I'm not living in Colorado, like what are you doing as a 25-year-old? I'm now 28 and I've like set out on this mission to just promote the state of Indiana and tell stories of what makes Indiana great. Yes, it's not mountains and it's not that much, like not oceans, but there are a ton of cool stuff within our state. And I've kind of taken the approach of making, viral style content of these adventures or interesting businesses or Hoosiers that are doing cool things across the state and sharing them throughout the state and beyond.
Dude, I love it, man. You're like the perfect package of like what like a hyper local creator can be. Like, yeah, just everything from the brand. And I mean, I think that you have an advantage in that you've got like a really like charismatic personality, right? That you bring to it. Like when you're featuring a small town, and you have the small town spotlight that you do, which I love. I love what you guys do to kind of like pick a town, focus on it, and highlight it. Like, let's say that we don't have like the Nate personality, to go out there and like, go viral and make people excited to watch us. Like, how do you kind of keep content fresh for a town
Yeah.
that outsiders might assume like that there might not be a lot going on here. Like, how do you kind of keep that fresh?
I think that it would start. So if I was like the social media manager of a town of, let's say, 10,000 or less people, it starts by changing the way your own town perceives itself and how you talk about like, let's say like, I don't know, Jasper, Indiana. Okay. They're like 15,000 people. And one thing that locals there do really well is they have pride in where they're from. And so the way that it kind of starts by like organizing your local community to make very shareable content. So a lot of times, I think city government gets, and I don't know the total, rules or whatnot there, but they're so worried about playing favorites that they don't really promote anyone. And so, like, instead of, once a week sending the town manager, the mayor, whoever out to spotlight a local business, they won't do anything because they know that that will make so and so mad. Even if they're on like a 52-part journey and it's like, hey, every week we're going to promote another local business and like make something that's that builds this type, and I'm sure Nebraska is similar to Indiana, where in these small communities, people do want each other to succeed and they do root for each other and like want to build them up. They just don't know the best way to do it. So like a piece of content where instead of a lot of times towns will be like they'll put their mayor out in front of there and it'll be like, I'm Nate Spangle, I'm the mayor of and like boom, on social media they've already swiped away. No one cares, especially not outside of their community. No one cares what your name is or what you do. It's like here's right now, I feel like I see the mac and cheese place in Ames, Iowa. Have you guys have seen this? Maybe I don't know. It's like very viral. Like I don't know why I know about this, but it's Ames, Iowa. There's a mac and cheese place, and it's like it just starts with like the value, and you just make something like a viral piece of content that people in the community want to share because they're proud of their thing, like the favorite ice cream shop or the mom and pop lawn mowing shop that's been going for 35 years. And it's like, yep, that Don, he's been up at 5 a.m. since 1986 mowing lawns. Like, and someone has to, but then to really get the good content, it's like there has to be this perceived, um, like I always say like you can tell whether I put money into it or time. Like you invest like for your like some of the stuff like 5 hour road trip, like whatever you did. Like you talked to me about this, I think actually, which was like what was the word you used for it?
I um oh my gosh, I'm the cost
Perceived.
the
Yeah.
cost signal. Yeah.
Yeah, cause signal, where it's like you get up at 5 a.m. and it's like you could use a viral trend. Okay, so let's say, for example, I'm getting kind of in the weeds, but I'll just say this example, then we can move on to the next question. Let's say there's a guy who's been mowing yards in your small town in Nebraska, and he's up with the dawn with the farmers, and he's like drinking his morning coffee. You take the like Ashton Hall, like puts his face in the lemon bucket style video, and like you don't make this guy do that, but you just like put the same overlay over that and talk about like a Nebraskan farmer, their journey from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. when they go to bed. And like you make something that people are proud of. They're like, we're proud of how early our guys wake up. We're proud that like Nebraska Angus beef is better than Indiana Angus beef. And then everyone in Nebraska is going to share that. They're going to say, yeah, screw Indiana. And then everyone on my timeline is going to see it and be like, no way, Indiana's better. And like, blah, 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 blah.
Cool. So kind of like taking what you have in your community and taking a trend that people are see on their for you page and kind of like morph it and make it your own, right? Is that kind of
And
what you're
I would say, at least it is for Indiana, um, 90% of people, 95% of people want to help. Like
saying?
if you walked around your community and say, hey, do you want to help small business? I feel like everyone would say yes. Do you want to support our local town? Yes. Not everyone has budget, not everyone has money. But if you make a piece of content that your town is proud of, and it's not the same thing that everyone has already seen. It's
Mhm.
not like I'm the president of the Chamber of I'm Nate Spangle, president of the Chamber of like no, it's not about me. Like I literally like the nickname is like the Hoosier Hype Man. Like I just talk about other people and the cool stuff that they're doing. And so you as the social media person or the marketing person for your small town is not even like what is a small town? It's a collection of all these individuals. It's not talking about how great your town is. It's talking about how great the individuals in your town are. And how do you put them on a pedestal for a day?
Mhm.
Everyone wants to be famous for a day. And you
Yeah.
have to really grind to get your first like 5 or 10,000 followers. But eventually, like other towns will look at you and be like, oh my gosh, what they're doing in Ames is so cool. Like, how do we be more like them? And they'll be watching your videos and following you, and they'll love the way that you spotlight your residents and you spotlight your entrepreneurs, or like the kid who won state in the 1600 meter. Like just different ways to be like a megaphone. Like I am giving this talk to the Mayor's Association of Indiana about how like their job from a marketing perspective is to be like the main street megaphone. Like
Mhm.
don't talk about how great you are, but like amplify your residents' messages and share the love obviously in whatever way you can, but really tell their stories and highlight them and make pieces of content that your community will be proud of and like will have no choice but to share.
Yeah. Yeah. that you mentioned that share metric. Is that the metric that you look at most closely is tied to success, or do you have another metric that you look at, like completion rate, like bounce rate, like retention time?
Honestly, the biggest one we look at is views, like total watch, like total views and shares. And like we'll manufacture some shares. Like um I'll post a video about a small town in Indiana and I'll go into their Facebook group and I will be like, "Hey, I just wrote a feature on Jasper. I featured X, Y, and Z thing. I'd love to know what you think. I'd love to know what I missed. We're gonna write a blog post for our website. So if you let us know in the and like people are sharing it and they're like, you missed this and you missed it, like my grandpa, and you hear just like a full list in of discussion comments in the Facebook group of like these great stories of entrepreneurs and locals and this, that, and the other thing. And then you can kind of almost for us like curate a community guide for these small towns. And then like everyone like auto shares that on Facebook and you basically get a built-in like 25,000 views as long as your content is good and like, there's like a bar. Like you have to make it creative and fun and energy and like really encapsulate what your community is.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
It seems like with you, it's just like starting the conversation, like being there, making the audience the hero. It sounds like what you're doing, and just like kind of like putting yourself out there. And like if you kind of like if you build it, if you like put it out there on these Facebook groups, like people will start to share it and
Yeah, and I
will.
think it's like just doing it in an authentic way. And I mean, I know that it's hard because not everyone can be like a person, but I think like having someone within your community that is going to take the charge of hype man, that's going to like take charge of like not just like running by and snapping a still picture or like making a Canva graphic, but like, hey, we're going to ask three questions to every business owner in my small town. Like make a list, literally, let's say there's 50 small businesses in your town. Like, okay, over the next year, I'm going to make it an intentional point to sit down and talk to every one of these businesses and then like find a college kid who has I don't know, 20,000 followers on TikTok, give them an internship to edit the videos for you and edit them in a style that's like fast paced, attention grabbing. And then all you do is take your hype man, ask the same three questions to 50 business owners in your town, post them over the course of a year. And I promise, like, if you get a little bit better with every video and a little bit better at interviewing and a little bit better at editing, like, good stuff will happen. And people all over the state of Nebraska will be like, wow, the marketing that XYZ town does is really, really good. Like and then your community will just feel like tighter knit. It's almost like building a lot of times like local newspapers have gone out of business or been like gobbled up by like Gannett and stuff like that. So it's not even like really that local of news, or they're like conglomerated between like 10 small towns. So like once every 3 weeks, a story from your town makes it in the news and everyone shares it on Facebook. And it's like this way, it's like at least once a week an interesting story about your local community is coming out and it's building trust and building relationships between the residents of your place. Like it all starts from like building pride and changing the way people perceive their own residents. Like I've kind of like, oh wow, look at that. That's pretty
I
cool.
like that comment.
Uh, yeah, exactly. But like it starts for us of like, how do we get people in Nebraska to care about Indiana? Well, first you got to get people in Indiana to care about Indiana. And
Mhm.
once you get people in Indiana to care about and talk about it in a respectful way and talk about their local communities in like a positive and uplifting way, then you can worry about how to get people in other towns to talk about your place.
Cool. Man, so cool what you're doing, and like just the variety of content that you're able to do. I feel like every time I see you doing something, you're doing a different format. And like, you've got the podcast stuff, you got the food stuff, you visit the small towns, you've got like the just like spoken stuff with the map up. Like you and I know that you have a couple people on your team right now, right? So let's shift to like a town that might have a team of one, or maybe even like a business owner of just like one person. Like most of the people here in this call and people who are going to be listening to this podcast are a team of one, and they are mighty, and it's pretty much incredible the things that they can accomplish as a team of one. How let's say working with a creator like you, right? Let's say,
Yeah.
okay, we identify a creator who's in like the Omaha metro or something big, and they specialize in um content creation. How could we work with a creator like you? Like, what's the best way for us to kind of empower you?
Yeah. I think the first thing to know is that one creator making one Instagram reel will not save your town and will not save your business. Like 500,000 views on TikTok is not like, does not equate directly to dollars and cents immediately. And if you think that, like, just like reframe your thinking there, the best organizations, businesses that I see, um, are already like flexing their muscle of social media. So they're like, there's a moving company here, and I talk about them all the time because they're a moving company. Nobody cares about a moving company, but they comment on like every creator's Instagram posts and have like built 2 or 3 thousand followers from just like being active in the
Mhm.
community. And so like now they're doing deals with creators, and when people go and check out their page, it's not boring. It's not like they're making content, they're engaging in the community, they're like they put like funny jokes on people's comments. And then when people go back and follow them, it's like, oh, this is a moving company with some personality. This is a small town with some personality. And they have a reason to like scroll through their page. Because like your
Mhm.
video is going to be 90 seconds long. Like if you hire us, one, it's like uh more followers is not always better. Like you need to like obviously like balance your budget and like your vibe. Like I live in Indianapolis, which is the capital of Indiana, and but the thing is I'm from a small town. Like I grew up in a town of, and if people watch enough of my content, they're gonna know that. So like the person who's like the suburban mom might have 100,000 followers, but Nate grew up like when he was 21, was like in a dive bar, eating a tenderloin and drinking a Busch Light. Like I'm the guy to like go and promote small towns, even if I don't have as many followers,
Mhm.
because it is because of like the audience circle, right? It's like, oh, people who like pork tenderloins and sweet corn and dive bars, like that's gonna be Nate. So you need to kind of like look through who who as a creator, if you pick them up and put them in your town, would be like one of the one of the like staples, like would be an awesome community member. Start there
Mhm.
because the last thing you want is to like bring someone who doesn't really embody like what your town is or what your business is in to do a video. Like it's just going to feel super transactional.
Mhm.
The other piece is lay the groundwork for your social media so that when you do get those 500,000 views, people like, you can convert 0.5% of those views to new followers for you, and like people like have guides or details or know what your business is, why they should follow you, why they should use you for moving, or why they should come visit your small town.
Mhm.
I think that a lot of times people think that if they post a video in collaboration with a creator, it gets a bunch of views, like automatically people are going to flood to their town. And like sometimes that happens, but the biggest success is if you use a creator as almost like a little adrenaline shot to like bump your numbers for like a short period of time so more people can see the good stuff you're already doing. And then you can convert more followers to your moving business or your town page or whatever it is there. But like
Cool.
if you aren't doing the right practices of social media and you're not engaging and you're not doing this stuff, then like it might give you it's like a painkiller versus like taking your vitamins. And it's like the
Mhm.
creator is the
Mhm.
painkiller, but if you like practice good social media habits, like that's like taking your vitamins, and the painkiller can like jumpstart you. The other piece is a lot of times, I tell people to like look at their screen time, like whatever social media app, or if you don't spend time on social media, a lot of times, like I have had other CEOs in Indiana be like, "How do you get so many followers?" Like blah 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 blah. And I'm like, "Well, how much time do you spend on social media?" And they're like, "None. I don't have any time for that." But they're still like paying an editing company to make videos for them. And like that's why you're not growing. Like people can tell that you're not spending any time. And if you're not a consumer of your own content, you're not a consumer of other people's content, like it'll be really, really hard to grow. So a lot of times,
Mhm.
like where you start is like be like a member of this online community, right? Like comment on other, like if you're the Chamber of Commerce or you're the town, anytime someone tags the town of Bourbon, like that's where I'm from, Bourbon, Indiana. Anyone comment or post the town of Bourbon or anyone like talks about it, like you should be in the comments being like, thank you so much for visiting. Like it was so great. Like give your town an identity and a personality, give your business an identity and a personality, and practice these social media habits right. And then like bring in the creators. I hope that helps a
Oh
little.
my gosh, totally. Like, I think the phrase that we use for it is like digital citizenship is what we call it. It's like, are you liking and following other creators within your niche? And I almost think it's that it, and of course nobody knows what the algorithm's doing, but I think you're training the algorithm as to how to categorize you, like what type of create, like what type of environment and community are you trying to create. So I think what you're saying is super right. Like you have to go out and be engaging with other folks within your niche. Now, let's say you're a town with and you're a marketing department of one, or you're a small business with a marketing department of one. Two questions. One, where would you categorize social media efforts in terms of all the other channels you can do, all the other efforts that you can put into, getting yourself out there? And I don't know, that's kind of a vague question. But and then two, like, let's say that you have, how much time do you think you should allocate to social media a week if you are a one person team and you gotta, pick and choose your battles?
Mhm. Um, well, I think it starts with like looking at your goal.
Mhm,
Like, uh, is your goal to serve if you're a chamber of commerce, your goal is to serve business owners? Like you you probably need to spend time where your desired audience is. So maybe that does mean like it's newsletter specific. Like if your goal is to galvanize the business community in your small town, like look at where the business leaders are hanging out and like what they like to consume. If your job is if your focus is to increase, the digital citizenship of younger generation to get them involved in your community, like they're not reading newsletters, they're not watching the local news, like they're on social media.
mhm,
And if you do need to take that seriously and start to build that so that you can um attract this generation. And I would say like the easiest way to tell if you're like doing well and building a modern town, it's like look at the top 10% of your graduating class. Did they come back to your town? If they didn't come back to your town, you should go ask them why they didn't come back to your town. Like
mhm,
it can't be that hard to hunt down. Like, I mean, my high school class was 70 kids. It's like,
mhm,
okay, go look at the top seven that did not go back to Bourbon and ask them why they didn't go back, and then like
mhm,
try to build the stuff that they want to see. And it's
mhm,
not saying that like, but just with like leaders, whether it's in high school or leaders, like they'll start businesses or they'll just bring this like you want the top 10% of whatever the thing is to want to be residents of your town. And I know that's like a
mhm,
little bit of a tangent, but it's like if they're saying like they're getting all their information on social or they're getting their information in the wanted ads or they're getting their information wherever, like go
mhm,
find those people and ask them where they want to like maybe you should be the moderator of your town Facebook group. A lot of times like private businesses like we don't do this, but I know there are other media companies that just start Facebook groups in every one of these towns and like
mhm,
people flock to them and then they can push whatever they want in the Facebook group. Like maybe your town should have a Facebook group and you should be the moderator and blah 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 blah. That's very
mhm,
specific to towns. Um, but I would say like social media is like you need to build it before you need it versus like
mhm,
if you're like, okay, this month we're focusing on social media because we're hosting Food Truck Friday at the end of the month, and it's like it's already too late. Like you should
mhm,
have started
mhm,
like laying your groundwork 3 or 4 months ago if you're trying to like culminate in this big event. Uh,
mhm, mhm.
I mean, and my answer is super biased because I'm like a social media guy, so I would say like
Right, right.
a lot of time. Like, but obviously I don't have to like manage corporate communications and like civic engagement and like all that other stuff. But I would say like you could survey your people, and I would think it would shock you how many residents get 90, no, maybe like 50+% of their knowledge, information, and news through social media, and they're not getting nearly enough from like the the government organization that's like most relevant to them, which is like where they live, work, play, spend their dollars.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's very hard not to be biased in the line of work that we're in. Like I I also have a love for like traditional media. Like I worked at Time Magazine in New York City for a number of years, and so like I love TV, I love radio, I love newspaper, like I'll always love those. But I just see like social as sort of like the lowest hanging fruit and the most impactful eyeballs that you can get on a shoestring budget right now. Like when I look at, the Corn Belt, we generate like over 150 million impressions. And if you just back that out to like an earned media revenue dollar amount, that's like, over 1.2, million in earned media revenue. And so it's like if you can just harvest that like as a one person team without having to put the money up front and just kind of like chip away at that day over day, I think it's awesome. I mean, I've also heard just last week I had a friend who did a radio spot. He paid a couple $100 to get on a local radio spot, and after the show he got about 6 to a dozen text messages like, hey, heard you on the radio, like that was awesome. So like I do think that these other channels still work. And apparently in Lincoln and Omaha, like radio is still, um, you know,
Yeah.
sought after. But like for me, like social media, like it feels like our generation's way to like really kind of like make an impact right now in
Yeah.
this moment.
And I would say like, okay, I went on the radio to promote like a fundraiser that we were doing, and I like recorded being on the radio to then make a video about it. Because like maybe you didn't listen to that like, 2 minute hit at 4 o'clock on your drive home. Cool, no worries. You can find it on my TikTok. Like you can look through there and like see the whole thing. And it's like, oh, you're just using that like one. Anytime you put like a let me anytime you put like a microphone in front of you and like have your camera up and you're like, this is a cool, like people are just gonna stop and look in their feed and it's cool, right? Like you instantly like up your credibility just by having this thing, right? The other piece that I would say is a large point that I hear, or like a point of hesitation is like people try social media. They're like, we were paying $500 a month to blah, 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 like, and it wasn't working. And a big piece that I see is because they think of it as a one to many. And like, they think of it as one way, like, oh, we just push out whatever we want to push out. But like, you're in Nebraska and the Corn Belt will comment on my video in Indiana. And like, maybe people that are going on a road trip will see your Instagram post and be like, oh, and like go to your profile and remember that when they're driving through Omaha and like look for a recommendation for a coffee shop. And I
Yep.
think a big thing that people need to do is be it's both ways. Like you need to be, responding to people, commenting on people's things, still posting, but like be an active member of this digital society and good things will start to happen. A lot of times people just like, well, we're posting something every single day and it's just like a string of 7 Canva graphics and they're like, no one likes this. And I'm like, you don't even like this. Like, let's be honest. Like if you saw this, you would scroll by.
Mhm.
And it's like so many times people are like, well, I'm doing the action of social media, but they're not putting in the same amount of care as if they were like hanging a flyer in your local deli and like
Mhm.
wanting people to like come to your thing on Friday night.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, Nate. Yeah, this is awesome. I want to be aware of our time. We're at 30 minutes here, so I don't know if anybody on the call has any other questions or if people have to bounce off, that's fine too. But dude, this is so awesome. We're Midwest neighbors, and I feel like we're kind of very similar in a lot of ways. So thanks for sharing all this with us.
Yeah. I mean, does anyone, I know there's a few people in here, like, is there like specific use cases or questions that you have? I'm happy to like stay for a couple more minutes if anyone has like a specific, like, hey, we have this problem, we want to market better, what should we do? If not, no big deal.
Yeah, we've
Cool.
been we've
Oh,
we
Corey's got
I
Sydney.
got a question. So if you were going to do like the 3 question to hype business up, like how would you go to keep that fun and engaging? Like how would you phrase those questions instead of the same old, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Um, okay. So if I was going to make it a series, so I would go with like my little microphone into there and ask a question that's like, how long have you been in business? Or like, how long have you been doing this? And it'll give people a grasp of like whether they're new residents or old residents. Because then people in the comments might be like, maybe the restaurant's 2 years old. They're like, yeah, I remember when that was whatever it was before for 20 years. So like maybe ask them how long they've been doing it, where they're going to get different answers. And it's not an answer like, uh, we're the best thing ever, like blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, like you've been a staple of our community, blah, 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 blah. And then question two, maybe ask them like something to do about being a community member. Like, what's your favorite event that we host? Like, don't even really ask them that much about themselves. Like, one of the three questions could be about their business. The other thing is like, what do you love about living in is Sydney where you're from, or is your name's yeah?
No,
Like, what do you
yeah, Sydney, from
what do you
Sydney.
love about living in Sydney? Or like, what's your favorite thing in Sydney? And the final thing is like, who's a business leader or like, what's your favorite business in town? And you get them to like hype somebody else up. And it starts this train. And then like the next week, you go to the person that they hyped up and you
Okay.
see who they're going to hype up. And then people are like dying to see like, oh my gosh, I have to
Mhm.
watch till the end of this video to see who's going to get the shout out. And that's where you're going. And people will be like, oh, hey, next week, I know that you're going to get on the interview. Like, make sure you hype me up. Like, that way they come to our business. And you can
Okay.
just have like others support others. And it like practices that like eat your own dog food mentality. Have you ever heard that? Like where it's like, hey, we're local business owners, and instead of asking people to come shop at my store, I'm going to tell you about another local business that I love and respect, and they get to hype up the other person. And like in classic Midwestern fashion, that person's probably going to come in and spend their own dollars at the person who hyped them up. Because like, oh my gosh, Steve, thank you so much for the shout out. Like that was really cool. I love your business too.
Cool.
Dude, that's great, man. I love that. That's golden. Making people wait till the end to see who the next person is going to be to come on. There's anticipation and everything. That's brilliant.
And it's just like tell a story of like this hero's journey, right? It's like you set the scene, like we've been making the world's best or we've been making Sydney's best donuts for 35 years. And then it's like you kind of build up where it's like, what's something you love? And then like the delivery is like, I love the way that Joe's coffee shop, like they go perfect with our donuts. I get it every single morning, blah, 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 blah. And then you go to Joe's and they do the same thing.
Dude, awesome. Man, you do such cool stuff. And if people want to find you, I think Instagram's your biggest platform. Is that right?
Yeah, where my most screen time is. Funny enough.
Yeah, dude, me too. I thought that my Instagram screen time would never replace my TikTok screen time. I'm like, never in a thousand years. Now I'm like all Instagram. It's crazy. So,
It's
uh,
wild.
yeah, at
Um,
Nate Spangle is the best place to
at
find you.
Nate Spangle, and then we have the Get Indiana account, and like we're trying a lot of the stuff that like we see happening on the coasts or happening in the biggest like media organizations. Like what's working in New York City, what's working for Morning Brew, what's working for something in LA, and we'll take those learnings in, and then how do you like make that Midwestern? How do you make that Indiana? The one thing that we've learned is that a business owner in Indiana is never going to get on TikTok and be like, I raised $1 million to start the world's coolest water park and blah, 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 blah. Like, that's just not in our DNA. But what
Mhm.
I can do is like, hey, this is John. John raised $1 million to create Nebraska's first ever outdoor aquatic wildlife experience. This thing is nuts. And you, as the steward of whether it's a business or a town, like it's almost like you have the opportunity to be your main street's megaphone, and you have
Mhm.
the opportunity to like hype up this cool stuff that humble Hoosiers, humble people from Nebraska are never going to do on their own. And I think that's like a really cool place to be, is just like go out there and hype up the people in your community, and good things come back to those who do that.
Dude, that's awesome. You've just got such a good energy about you too for doing that. Like I could totally see you just bouncing around. I saw you at the state fair this week. That was a super cool video. Like I'm sure people love seeing you out in public and be like, "Oh, Nate, like oh my gosh, I follow you."
Well, and like that was the thing. Like one of the big pieces was I learned every high school mascot in Indiana. So like they'll come up and they'll be like Center Grove, and I'm like, go Trojans. And they're like, oh, he got that one, and it was just like this whole gimmicky kind of like catch, but it got people like invested because everyone wants to be famous for a day. Everyone wants their high school, like they want their high school to be mentioned in this video, and it's like I literally just say the high school and their mascot. It's like so simple, but people like were commenting every like week 12 of waiting for Triton, like when are you going to put my high school in there? And so like people in the comments of your videos, like let's say you're hyping up businesses and you do kind of like the promotion train. It's like people will be waiting like, oh, I can't wait until they go to my favorite coffee shop or my favorite restaurant, whatever it is there.
Dude, awesome, man. Indiana's lucky to have you. You've got a
I
cool
would say the same thing about you, dude. Like you build like beautiful cinematic. Like I just like eat a lot of tenderloins and yell on the camera, and you like make these cinematic masterpieces that make Nebraska look like the south of France coast. It's like sick. I love it. Like I think it's so cool, and I think that what the work that you're doing is again helping shift the perspective, whether it's in small towns in Nebraska or the biggest cities or the whole state. But when people start talking and having more pride in their local community, then the rest of the world, like people in Indiana are like, dang, these people in Nebraska, like they really love Nebraska. That's pretty cool. Like I want to go out there for a Huskers game. Like I want to go on one of these 5 hour road trips on a weekend. Like so sick.
Oh, dude, thank you, man. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely like yeah, it starts with yourself. Like you have to love it, and then anywhere that you are is what you make of it. Like I think anywhere that you are, you can find adventure, you can find interesting news, you can find it all. So I highly believe it.
The final piece I'll say about that, and then we can go, is um in Colorado, it's easy. You look up in the sky and you see this mountain peak, and you're like, oh, like I need to do that. Like that's what I'm supposed to do.
Mhm.
In Florida, you look at the beach and you're like, aha, that's what I'm supposed to do. In these Midwestern states, it's not as easy. Like you can't just go outside and see a mountain and know that you're supposed to do that. So like that's why people like me or people like you or these local government organizations, the marketers are in charge of um like being the Sherpa, the guide to like how do you like what do you actually do for fun in these places? What do you love about these places? And if I eat four tenderloins on a Tuesday night, hoping that like in an effort that maybe you'll go out and get one tenderloin for dinner. Like we'll do this like social media-y stuff in an effort to like convince people that like there is fun stuff going on here.
Oh my gosh, man, so cool. Well, now I got to make a trip. Now I got to come out for the Indy 500. I'm
Yes, sir.
I'll
Come
make
on.
a video. I'll make it look like the south of France, and
Amen. And then I'll come to Nebraska. We'll just do a little jersey swap.
that would be cool, actually. That would be
Yeah.
cool. I've thought about bringing other creators, and I've also thought about like finding some of the hate comments and like inviting that person to come and be like, hey, like
Yes.
all
I have
paid
a whole,
vacation.
dude, I have a whole video concept that we're going to release probably next year that's just all about like perception and haters and all this stuff. It'll be fun.
Oh, I love it, dude.
Cool.
Thank you, Nate. Thanks for all the knowledge and everything, man. You're doing such cool stuff. So thanks. It's always good connecting with you.
Love it, y'all. Have a spectacular day and we'll talk soon, all right?
Cool. Thanks. See ya.